featured speaker, Congressman Jim Moran. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Congressman Moran is currently serving his 11th term as U.S. Representative from Virginia's 8th District, comprising the cities of Alexandria, Falls Church, Arlington County, and portions of Fairfax County. He's a senior member of the House Appropriations Committee, the ranking member on the Subcommittee on the Interior and Environment, and a member of the Defense and Military Construction Subcommittees. Throughout his 2 decades of service in the House of Representatives, Congressman Moran has demonstrated vigorous leadership in support of regional transportation solutions, the environment, women's issues, technology, fair and open trade, fiscal discipline, and not least libraries.
That's right. It's the latter that Good morning. I really am honored to participate in this. This is such a neat occasion, and it's a reflection of how much this community cares about libraries that we have standing room only. So it's this is really kind of a celebration of 3 values, I guess: communities, of libraries, and of books themselves. In terms of community, you know, it's so appropriate. Bob, it's great to see you, my friend. It's so appropriate. Always a fan base, Bob. It's so appropriate that the library is really tucked right into the physical foundation of the community, right here in the hillside. And what a wonderful architecture that that we're blessed with. 50th anniversary. This is a really big deal, and when you think that the history of the library itself, it goes back to even further time. In fact, in 1922, Cherrydale was no more than a farming hamlet on a whistle stop on the Great Falls and Old Dominion Railway. Arlington values its history, but it's because of things like this when the history forms a foundation for the future. And of course, the Cherrydale Volunteer Fire Department, which has always been kind of one of the defining characteristics of Cherrydale, was largely involved in the development of the library. It was the volunteer members and their spouses who came together and donated countless hours, but books and really pulled it together on their own because they understood how important the library was for a community, and then of course petitioned the county government. So if there is a theme to the history of this library, it really is the spirit of community and the loyalty of its patrons that just transcends generations. And of course, in more recent times, and it's happening all over the country right now, especially. I'm so disturbed. You know, we're talking about the loss of jobs, but a lot of them are public sector jobs that are resulting in this high unemployment rate. Just this past month, the number of private sector jobs went up by about 56,000, but 38,000 public sector jobs were lost, and there are librarians that are being let off, and teachers, and it just seems as, you know, the last thing you want to do is to destroy your seed corn. But anyways, it was the community that responded with petitions and made sure that Cherrydale wasn't going to lose its library, and nor have its hours drastically reduced. So you look at all you look at all, like 30,000 books, and the DVDs and the CDs and all the stuff, things that I don't get the chance to use all the technology, although, you know, not knowing how the Facebook and Twitter is sometimes an asset. That's not on my script. You know, there's just something so important. It's intangible, but the idea of having a community place where you can go and sit and contemplate and read and in serenity. You can't put a price on it, but it is kind of priceless. It's so valuable. I remember growing up, I had this long paper route, and I'd spend hours, but I'd bicycle faster when I started coming toward the end of it, because particularly on Saturdays, I could sneak down to the library, and I'd sneak into one of these as I, got home. You had a lot of physical chores to do, but I'd sit and I'd crawl down. I'd get some books, and I'd just read those books. They had these "We Were There" books, and then Claire B., who wrote these sports books, and I'm just dating myself. I'm such an old codger, but it was just such a wonderful experience. And we find, I think I should mention when we're talking about the importance of libraries, we get an opportunity to travel, Congress, to travel around to a lot of countries, particularly those that are in situations of political instability. Oftentimes third world countries that are desperately poor, but sometimes countries that are very wealthy, largely because they're selling off their natural resources. But when you go outside the central city where the hotels for tourists are, you never see a library. No libraries. And I think it's because they see libraries as a source of instability, a threat to the control over the people. Because when the people are able to read and think and decide on their own, government then has to be responsive. And this whole Arab Spring is largely because they were trying to repress the ability of people to speak for themselves. But you can't speak for yourself unless you have a voice that you gain through the knowledge of reading. Just a point about reading. I'm listening to a wonderful book, and I know this is not a random sample of citizenry off the street that thinks Columbus landed at Plymouth Rock or something. This is kind of a pretty elite group of people intellectually, certainly. And I'll share with you and give you a recommendation. David Brooks' The Social Animal. It's just a wonderful book. I'm listening to it on audio, and he goes into how important it is when a child is born to have their mind stimulated. And if they don't, the mind starts pruning. And so then it doesn't have the capacity. But in the first few months and first years of existence, the mind is almost infinite in terms of its capacity to absorb knowledge and reach conclusions and so on. There's a small study that was done, but the results are statistically significant. It showed that if you're trying to find things that break the cycle of poverty, there's one thing that has a phenomenal correlation, no matter where a child, what circumstances in which a child was born. If there is an adult that reads to them in a nurturing environment, normally on their lap, holding them, in the first 3 years of life, they break out from no matter what the obstacles, the economic and social obstacles they face. There's just something about learning in a nurturing environment that makes a profound difference in terms of that person's ability to realize their full potential. And there's no better place than to come to a library, which is an intellectually nurturing environment where it's quiet and people just treasure the value of reading, of ideas. And to open that library, and then a child, as they grow up, they know they can walk into a library and transform themselves. They can go to different worlds. They can become different people. They can empathize with wholly different perspectives than they were exposed to in their own community and through their own peers. So, and I don't think we can ever overstate the value of books in the development of our society, and the fact that Cherrydale understands that value, how priceless it is, and went to Herculean lengths to insist that the library be maintained. I mean, the head of the Civic Association over the years went to the county board 50 times. I read that, Mr. Fishman was it? And I mean, in some countries, if you're going to be that persistent, you just get shot. You know? But here, they respond. And so anyway, I know this whole community is, you know, really standing on the shoulders of people who generations ago understood the value of having a permanent Cherrydale library. It really defines what this community is all about. So thank you for being part of that tradition, understanding that value, and making sure that all of our children and children-to-be have a place where they can come and fully appreciate the value of books and the spirit of this community. Thank you very much.
We're going to get the historian's perspective next.